Welcome back to our second episode of Beneath the Surface, a series spotlighting and highlighting the extraordinary people around the globe, making it a more mentally healthy place. My name is Luciana Carvalho-Se, and I'm the co-founder and chief evangelist of martech. Today, I'm excited to share an interview with distinguished digital nomad, journalist, venture builder, and badass extraordinaire, Stewart Rogers. Stewart has been recognized as the 7th most influential person in marketing technology worldwide. He's the managing editor at Grit Daily, MC of Venture Beat, and seasoned speaker, moderator, interviewer, and host. He's particularly best known for his speeches and work on mental health in the tech industry. He's also now the co-founder of Badass Empire, which he'll tell us more about. And he's also a very dear friend of mine. We'll find out more about what drove Stewart to do what he does, what his impact is on society, his legacy, and how he is helping reinvent the digital nomad and tech and mental health world. So without further ado, let's do it. Thanks for joining us, Stewart. It's a really pleasure to have you with us. Can you tell us a little bit more about you and what you're currently up to?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm Stewart Rogers. I am managing editor at Grit Daily, co-founder with Victoria Loskatova at Badass Empire, which I'll tell you all about. It's a badass name, but it's a badass thing too. I do various other things, but those are the two focuses. So with Grit Daily is a tech news publication that also covers entertainment and lifestyle. Based out of New York, and it's become a pretty big deal. We've grown that very quickly to a really significant publication. And with Badass Empire, we have a whole range of things under Badass Empire. That's like the big umbrella for everything. But Badass Empire's mission is to basically help you manifest your inner badass. It's like education and information for digital professionals and for digital nomads. We have a range of different things like Badass Summit, which was an online conference way before they become mainstream and super popular thanks to COVID-19. We've got some really exciting stuff, coming up in the very near future as well around what we're doing at Badass Empire. So there's a lot of amazing things going on. And yeah, it's our mission to educate and inform and entertain. Call it edutainment if you want.
Edutainment. Well, hence the name Empire. It's very fitting. Taking over the world. The future is badass. I love it. But before, you're very open about mental health, and you're a big mental health advocate. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, what got you to where you are, and why you're such a big advocate of mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been through my own issues and problems with mental health, personally. And that was all kicked off when my dad got cancer many years ago. And I didn't deal with that very well. I had lots of existential crises, and I had some, problems and issues with that, a couple of nervous breakdowns, and, it was not a pretty time. I'll tell you a little bit more later about how I dealt with that and got past it. I didn't do it by myself. I needed help with that. And then at the same time, I've been involved in the tech industry for a long time, and been involved with all of the different tech ecosystems from Silicon Valley through to Berlin, Helsinki, London, so on and so forth. I was noticing that there were a lot of people having massive issues in running their startups. And then it became really a huge problem when in 2018 alone, I lost one friend per month to suicide in the tech industry. So every month except for December. 2019 was another 5 people. And that's, I appreciate that I'm a sample of one, and that's not statistically significant. So because I used to run VentureBeat's research arm, I decided to start doing some research on this and to see how wide the problem is, and to see if it's affecting others as much as it's affecting, the people that I was connected to. And uh, it, turns out the stats aren't good. Being in a startup, running a startup of any type, is an incredibly stressful thing. I spent a lot of time researching this. I dug into a lot of my old research from when I was younger, when I used to study neuroscience, neurology, and psychology, and then did surveys and studies, and dug into some other papers that really highlighted how bad a problem this is, and the reasons why, particularly the reasons why people are having such an issue in our industry. Because, if you're in the tech industry, if you're in a startup, whether you're a founder or just a worker, you're 2 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts than a regular citizen, and 3 times more likely to have substance abuse issues than a regular citizen. Right. And there's a lot of research out there that shows that, and all the research lines up nicely, which suggests that it's correct. So yeah, I wanted to figure that out.
Yeah, and what were you said the reasons behind it? What did you find were the main reasons contributing to that?
Yeah, I mean, the key thing is just all these different pressure points that founders have. When you start a company these days, it's not like the old days of starting companies where you make a profit in month 1 and you grow organically. What happens is you go out and get somebody else's money to help build your business quicker. And so you have angel investors, VCs, friends and family, all sorts of people involved. Friends and family will want their money back at some point. But VCs and angels will want 10x their money back, and not at some point. They want it back as quickly as possible. And the old VC model puts a lot of pressure on founders to perform and to get results. On top of that, you then have to do something with that money. And for a lot of people in the startup industry, hiring people is the first time they've ever hired somebody. Hiring, firing, reallocating people, putting the right people in the right place, that's all very stressful. And because you're an executive, because you're the leader, quite often when people have problems, issues of their own, they come to you. They don't have anyone else to go to. So now you become like an unwitting therapist for everybody as well. And that adds its own pressure points. You add to that a big problem in the tech industry, which is self-prescription. And that's where you have somebody who's technically brilliant and they come up with an amazing product or service or app or whatever to solve a problem. But being technically brilliant doesn't make you a CEO. But because CEO is the top position, they make themselves the CEO. And being a CEO is an entirely different set of skills to being a CTO or a head of product. But because of the ego, because of everything, because it's their idea, they have to be the CEO. So they make themselves that, and then find out that actually it's incredibly hard and it's not aligned with their type of brain. Being technically brilliant is not the same as being a good people person or being able to raise funds or do deals or any of these things.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure points. There's so many more than that, but in addition to that, you have this just overall feeling that you have to hustle and grind and fail fast. And there are people that are making a living out of telling you to hustle, and you tell yourself it, and other people tell you it, and there's just all these pressure points to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And people are working way too long hours. They're just sitting in front of a screen for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they feel like if they don't get it done quicker, somebody else is going to beat them to it. And it's not a healthy way to live.
Yeah, the hustle porn, as we call it, this the hustle culture, and neglecting all kinds of self-care. You're almost priding yourself that you're only sleeping 3 hours a night, and right. Eating and drinking a smoothie that has all your calories and nutrients because you don't want to take any time off work. It's this always on culture. Hopefully we're moving away from that, which brings me back to the second part, which is so we touched a little bit about your why, but what is the impact that you're creating on society? What's your legacy? And what would you want to leave behind?
Yeah, well, you know, I've been doing a lot of speaking at tech conferences across the years on different subjects that I write about for various tech publications. Um, Things like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, blockchain, all that kind of stuff. And it dawned on me, especially when I was having all of these friends with, uh, you know, taking their own lives or getting to all sorts of other, you know, self-harm. It dawned on me that nothing I was saying on stage actually made a difference. It was like the news cycle. It lasts 24 hours and everyone's forgotten about it afterwards. And it's not changing anyone's lives. Like me telling you what the future of artificial intelligence is like might be interesting, but it's not going to change your life.
Mm.
So it dawned on me that I needed to change my platform and use that opportunity to stand in front of thousands of people online in front of thousands of people to actually talk about openly the issues we have in this industry. Talk about it openly, talk about it honestly, talk about the reasons why people are having problems so they can identify that in themselves, talk about the coping mechanisms so that they can deal with it much more effectively, and get that message out to as many people as like humanly can. That's the mission, because a lot of these people who did take their own lives or have got themselves into a vicious cycle have done so because we don't talk about these issues, and because we don't talk about them, they don't feel like they can talk to anyone else about them either.
Mm-hmm. It almost like they don't, I mean, there's an acceptance piece before you get to validating your experience and your feelings also. And I think that's what we're trying to do here also, to talk about it authentically and openly. And what was there anything from this, you know, we used to describe, or they used to describe the normal, and that we're creating a new normal. I like to say that we're not creating a new normal because nothing about the world we were living in was normal. But in this moment of disruption and COVID and lockdown and quarantine and paradigm shifts, what is it that what were the biggest lessons for you from this time, and what is this new normal slash disruption paradigm shift that you're helping create? Badass shift.
Yeah, it's a great question. Like, because from a personal standpoint, I'm a wild extrovert. I'm the kind of person that needs a lot of physical contact, get a lot of energy from friends around me, and so being in lockdown was a personal struggle. But you know, I got to work with my co-founder across the screen. Now, fortunately, I've been able to get to North Portugal, and we're working together physically, which is so much better. But I had to find like coping mechanisms for myself that suited my chemical makeup. Like extroverts and introverts have pretty much similar chemical makeups in terms of like neurotransmitters, proteins, etc., etc. It's just that extroverts really like dopamine. Like we thrive on dopamine. We make more use of that than, you know, some of the alternatives which introverts make more use of. And I found that one of the best coping mechanisms for me whilst I was on lockdown was to just help people as much as is humanly possible. Because when you help somebody and you see you've helped them and they're getting a good result from that, it gives you a dopamine hit. And so, you know, as well as Zoom dance parties and the house party app and, you know, WhatsApp and everything else, like just connecting people to each other, finding work for somebody, you know, doing all these things that were just helpful. I joined a couple of consortiums that are trying to find globally scalable sustainability solutions to help repair the damage we've done to the world. And, you know, all of these things are, you know, give you that dopamine hit when you can't get it elsewhere. But being in lockdown, you are deprived a little bit of one of the coping mechanisms, which is to get out in nature. But for most people that I know, even in the strictest lockdowns, you were allowed to go out for a period of exercise, and I would go for a walk and go to the park, go to the castle in the town that I was isolated in. Just anything to reconnect, make sure I'm connecting with nature.
Yeah.
Do something that makes you sweat every day. That's an important thing. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just you need to get that exercise. When you do some kind of exercise or play or just be like a child or whatever, your body goes into the same fight or flight mode it goes into when you're scared, and that creates a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, so BDNF. And BDNF actually clears your mind. It acts like a reset button on your brain. So,
amazing.
Rather than work, and just like all the way through, just like work, then play, then work, then exercise, then work, then do something fun.
Yeah.
And your mind will be clearer. The work will be better, and you'll stay on the right side of the tracks. And also, nutrition is important. And eating the right things, like eating whole foods, eating good quality whole foods, not processed stuff, not high sugars, all that kind of stuff, because it does change the way that your neurons fire when you fill your body with sugar and processed foods. Much better to stick to natural things, natural products, whole foods. So, those things are all important. They help you cope. And just making sure, whether it's online or in person, you've got a good support network around you. You've got people who care, who will realize they've got two ears and one mouth and they should use them in that proportion, or just ask you good questions, not try and dictate to you how you should do things, because that's actually a stress point. Surround yourself with good people who lift you up, and you can lift them up too. That's the best way forward.
That's amazing.
So I learned a lot of those things in my research, but then I had to adapt them because I wasn't able to get out into nature so much. I wasn't able to travel. My life pre-lockdown as a full-time digital nomad is crazy. I was moving from country to country every 5 days on average, and now I found myself in a situation where I was locked down for weeks on end, and it was infuriating. But with all of those mechanisms, I got through it, and now I'm able to travel again, albeit much more slowly and only to very safe locations, but it works.
Yes. Yeah, so are there any other coping mechanisms or actionable tips for advice that you'd like to share with the world beyond lockdown that you're bringing to your life?
Yeah, the one thing I guarantee will change your entire life in so many different ways. It will enable you to focus more. It will enable you to process supposedly bad news more effectively. It will let you just let things pass when things don't maybe go in the direction you want them to. It will repair your immune system so that you can fight off diseases and inflammation more effectively, or get well quicker. Is meditation every day. Meditation is not just for hippies and tree huggers and people who go to Burning Man. Meditation is for everyone. And a lot of people say to me when I say meditation, they say, well, I've tried it, but I can't clear my mind. Well, here's the thing. Meditation isn't about clearing your mind. Nobody can clear their mind. Dalai Lama can't clear his mind. It's impossible. These are not just the world's most complex computers. They're way more than that. These are quantum devices. These are incredibly complex things. There's no way you're clearing it. So meditation is the practice of focusing on your breath as it comes into your body, focusing on your breath as it goes out of your body. And that creates a slice of time in front of you that's maybe 7 seconds long. And within that slice of time, something will happen. A flash of light, even though your eyes are closed, you'll still see it. A noise, a thought in your head, a smell, maybe a breeze on your face, maybe somebody touches you as they walk past. But whatever it is that happens, you recognize it for what it is and you let it pass with the next breath. And that over time teaches you that everything is temporary, nothing is permanent. You start to get into a mindset where you don't worry about the past because you can't change it. You just accept it. You learn lessons from it, of course, but you just accept it. You don't try and control the future because you know that's impossible, and nobody knows what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
And you focus, you laser focus. You'll actually get your work done quicker, and it'll be more clear. It'll be more inspired. It'll be better. Combine that with taking play breaks and fun breaks in between work tasks. you've got a pretty amazing way to work that's going to keep you incredibly mentally strong.
That sounds great. It's really amazing. I think sadly we're running out of time, but this was a nugget, if not more, a whole, Mac meal of incredible tips, which I hope actually, will help more people around the world. What's next for Badass Empire, if you're allowed to say?
So next up for Badass Empire, we are going to be launching Badass Times, which is a entire publication and community site for digital nomads. It's actually the first all-in-one for knowledge, for news, for stories and experiences for digital nomads, plus a community. And anyone can come and they can set up an account in their profile. They can put all their social networks on there, their skills, everything else. And they can write for us. They can actually write directly onto the front page of the site and submit a story to us. And then we look at it and we'll approve the ones that fit our editorial guidelines. And we're looking for amazing stories that can teach or support or assist or just help digital nomads all around the world. So we're really excited about it. It's completely badass, totally awesome, and we're super excited to launch that.
Yeah, we're excited to contribute to it. Well,
Awesome.
keep
Thank you
being
so
a
much.
badass, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you so much. This has been a treat.